This podcast is brought to you by StarCharge, the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world, and is also a provider of residential and commercial battery storage and microgrid solutions. And Kempower, the reliable, quick, and scalable EV charging solutions for everyone and everywhere. Hello and welcome back to the Out of Spec podcast. I'm your host, Francie, and here my team and I at Out of Spec like to cover all the electric news that's going on in the transportation industry. And there is plenty to talk about. Today, I am joined by my colleague Max, who runs our Out of Spec Guide channel and who drives a Polestar 2, and the team from Nokian Tyres in Finland. Teppo, Vice President of Quality and Sustainability, and Teemu, VP of Innovations and Development. And we've worked with Nokian Tyres before, have highlighted your work in the past, and of course, that's been great to see what you've been doing in this space. So we're here to talk about the world of tires, as they're being made for electric vehicles and partnerships with electric vehicle brands, and the whole industry-wide shift and or focus on climate change and lessening the impacts of this industry on our planet. So welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. You all, like I said, are calling in from Finland, so I appreciate you coordinating with us. I know it's not super easy.
Of course, happy to be here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Yes, it's so great to meet you as well. Yes, thanks, Max, of course. And back in November of last year, it's 2024 already, your team at Nokian Tyres announced that your organization had joined the Polestar Zero project, which aims to create a climate neutral car by 2030 by eliminating all greenhouse gas emissions throughout the car's supply chain and manufacturing processes and end of life. And that is it's a big undertaking. I think when we hear these kind of, whether it's 100% or 50% in terms of turning the supply chain more green or climate neutral, we start to wonder, how is that actually really possible? So can we start by maybe having you define what climate neutral means here for Nokian Tyres?
Sure. Maybe I can give an overview of. Thank you. So we have been focusing quite a long time to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, and of course we started this work within our own company looking at our factory emissions, and I would say that we have been quite successful in that area. Just in the last 8 years, we have been able to reduce by 70% already combined factory emissions in this area. And the second key area has been looking at the products. And when looking at tires, one of the key performance criteria is this rolling resistance of tires. So how much tires are taking of the energy when they are rotating and you're driving your vehicle. And we have been able to reduce the rolling resistance for quite many years already. That has been one of the key targets in the product development. But during the last 5 years, we have been also focusing more and more in the supply chain to look at the raw materials and transportation. And now this Polestar Zero project, that's as you mentioned, it's really ambitious target, and that's covering all of these supply chain area also for our raw material suppliers and all the logistics for the raw materials and tires. So that's very interesting and inspiring cooperation for us also.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's a very complex, a lot of moving parts. So being able to work together with all the different materials that come into your process, I'm sure, is a big undertaking and a project that takes a lot of time. So what was your draw to collaborate with Polestar on this project? How did that partnership come to be?
Well, first of all, one thing that is being clear for us that on the road to being a truly sustainable company, it's not something that we can do alone. But we need to find these kind of forward-looking partners who will embark on the journey with us, and Polestar and Polestar Zero project is truly one of such kind of endeavors that we are happy to work with them. When you think about this kind of really sort of as Polestar well puts it, they call it a moonshot project. So it's something that is really of looking a bit beyond what's happening now, looking really on the edge of what can be done, and it's also quite far away. So we are talking about the goal of 2030 here, and then having the truly zero greenhouse gas emissions cars. So these kind of things we need to be working together and finding the starting from where it all begins. So when the material is created, when the iron ore is mined and when the rubber is created and so on, and finding all the greenhouse gas sources from throughout the manufacturing chain or the supply chain, all the way to the point when the tire is put onto the car and given to the customer.
Yes. Again, I'm just seeing that there's all these moving parts. So your team must be very dedicated to not missing a single step in the process if you're actually going to become climate neutral. So it's from the very origination of the resources that you use to build the tires to, of course, the whole process that goes into things. And I mean, I'm always conscientious of how I'm impacting the planet with my actions. And sometimes it's easier to be less harsh on your environment than not. And I was thinking how much this would play into, the brand identity of Nokian, but also of Polestar. So I'd love to bring in Max here to ask, how does this kind of initiative impact you as a Polestar owner and a driver?
Yeah, so, as a Polestar 2 owner, which in the US makes me a little bit funky, I think in Finland that's like standard issue. If I apply for a passport, I get a Polestar 2. But I, love my car, love the brand, love Nokian Tyres as well. And it comes to mind that, especially when you have a performance-oriented brand like Polestar, as Francie was saying, typically that's somewhat counterfactual with sustainability. Now, of course, that doesn't have to be the case, but I'm thinking of like taking a track day with your vehicle, right? And burning through a set of tires entirely. I mean, that's just a huge use of resources. And obviously Nokian Tyres and the iconic winter tire is a bit of a different use case. But for a moonshot project like this, how does the brand identity and, to maybe not use too corporate of a word, but synergy or like synthesis work to take Polestar and take Nokian, these respected performance brands in their own category, and to put them in this context of like, we're going to not just make a moonshot of like the highest G-force or the highest grip, but we're going to work towards the most sustainable tire. How does that like shifting of priorities work? Because as I understand, tire design, just like car design, is full of compromises. So I'm sure that's really challenging, right?
That's exactly true. One thing how it is shown well in our own development work. So in tire development, we talk about something called magic triangle, which has three corners and one of them is wet grip and the other one is rolling resistance and the third one is wear or abrasion, and that's something that usually guides the development work in tires in general. But for some time now, we've already expanded that from triangle to a four-cornered shape, where sustainability is one key performance part of the tire. So it's not something that can be separated from it, but it's an integral part of it. And that's why the performance and sustainability, they go hand in hand already now in our development activities.
I think that's a great question, Max, because of the point of compromises, that if we're going to go climate neutral or even, just take down to some percentage the greenhouse gas emissions that are coming out as we manufacture these EVs that are, framed as a more sustainable option or a higher performance option, how are we going to achieve this balance between the two? So I really appreciate that one. And I'd love to continue kind of on with the technical terms and the technicalities of tire construction as well, and speak to the significance of making tires for electric vehicles and the differences between, the wear and tear that is typical for your internal combustion engine vehicles and the electric vehicles, especially for people who might not be familiar, because we talk about the cost savings of EVs, but then there is a bit of a trade-over, like maybe your tires wear down sooner. So can you speak a little bit to your experience? Because EVs haven't always existed, so I'm sure you've also had to change your strategy and your design there to be a bit innovative for this new brand, this new kind of design of technology that's on the road.
Sure. At Nokian Tyres, we've been designing and testing tires while keeping EVs in mind for more than 10 years already. Actually, as far as back as 2014, as a result of our R&D work, we launched the world's first winter tire, which was designed specifically for EVs, and that time it was a BMW that it was designed for, and at the time it was world's first winter tire for EVs, but it was also the first one with A rating in rolling resistance. So something that really shows us that this is not something that we've just started, but we've been doing this already for a decade. And as a testament to that, we launched a symbol called electric fit, a sort of stamp that we can put to our product, which shows to our customers that this product is truly fit for your EV as well. It's fit for your internal combustion engine car, just to show that our product is equally capable of handling the demands from EVs and ICEs as well.
I see. So it is true to say that they're kind of different use cases that you have to consider and study separately. Am I right in that, Teemu or Teppo?
Yeah. To some extent. I mean, EVs are usually heavier than internal combustion engine cars, and as well the torque that you can get from your wheels to tires, it's much more instant than with traditional cars. But that being said, it all comes down to your really robust structure of the tire. And when you have really robust and well-designed product, it can handle those added demands that the EVs are put to the product. So we are in a really good situation there.
That's good. I have to think that if you're considering a more climate neutral or sustainable option to manufacture these tires, and we've kind of spoken to this a bit, but is it actually changing the materials or the source of the materials that you're using? Is it carbon offsets that are more of the way that you're able to achieve climate neutral, not carbon neutral, maybe they're one and the same. But how exactly is that happening? And I'll start there. That question, is it more of the carbon offsets, or is it really finding better sourced materials that have less of an impact, or the way that you're sourcing them along the supply chain lessens your impact?
Yeah, here we have very clear like a target. So we are focusing only into emission reductions throughout the supply chain. So this like offsets or compensations, that's like the last option to be used. So far we have been only focusing into emission reduction and elimination. So the plan is not to use this. And I think in this Polestar project also the like playbook or the target is to use only really emission elimination, not do any offsetting or compensations.
I think that's really interesting, because companies can say, yeah, we are going all green, and then it's all offsets. So I do appreciate actually going to the source, because it's not easy. It takes a lot of work, but I think it would be such an interesting challenge to take on, to say, this is where we have these emissions and this is how we're going to tackle them. So I do appreciate that. It might be a little biased there, but I think that's very cool. And then it does remind me that another future goal of your company, I was reading that you have announced, is that Nokian Tyres is set to open a zero carbon dioxide emission tire factory in Romania in 2024. It's 2024. Can you tell me a bit more about this?
Yes, this is a very, very big like milestone, I would say, for the whole tire industry. So that's indeed we are building the factory. It's very well in schedule, and it will be opened later this year. And indeed, it will be the very first tire factory that's not causing any CO2 emissions in this operation. So all the energy we are using in the factory, it's zero CO2 emission energy. And there are some technical new, I would say, innovations and solutions behind this, but it's like a fully possible in today's situation. We believe that this will be like a kind of benchmark for the many coming factories, maybe not only in the tire industry, but also in some other automotive and other industry companies.
Interesting. I'm sure. Have you broken ground on this yet? I know you said it's possible in today's age, and we hear that a lot. It's possible to go there, but have you made movement? Is it underway? Is it being built, or is it already built and you're like retrofitting it?
Yes, it's a whole greenfield building, totally new, and now the body of the building is already ready. And in fact, we started now in January the installations of the production machinery inside the factory. So it will start test production in the second half of this year, and aim to start the commercial production in the beginning of 25.
Interesting. Well, I would love to get over to Romania. I have to admit, that would be thank you. That would be a very, very cool project to see.
I think it's
Max. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just wanted to jump in here and say I think it's wonderful on the production end of things between the facilities already in Finland and Romania and everything going on, working on neutralizing that in terms of a climate perspective. But also I'm thinking of the way tires, in particular Nokian Tyres and applications like this Polestar Zero moonshot might work. And I'm thinking of 10 years ago, generally with electric vehicles, we were thinking BMW i3, Nissan Leaf, bicycle-sized tire width. And now you were mentioning having clients like BMW, working with brands like Polestar. Of course, there's much more of this aspect on performance, having, let's say, more traditional width, having studded tires, having a specifically EV-designed winter tire. So when it comes to those, potentially, I would imagine, higher impact tires used in those higher performance applications, is there also consideration about the life cycle of the tire and how that's going to play out into the environmental angle here?
Yeah, for sure there is. And what we call it is operation or mileage. So basically how the tire is wearing and how long it can be used in the application. And this is one of the key design parameters that we are using and making sure that the product is withstanding the lifetime that is designed to be. But it's a bit different when you think about winter tires, since winter tires are usually driven on snow and ice. And snow and ice doesn't really wear down the tire that much. So usually with winter tires, it's not about the tire wearing down, but it's down, but it's about the tire getting old and starting to sort of lose its grip properties. And that's perhaps a bit more important aspect when talking about winter tires.
We can see that. And I feel like of course, there's the difference between the winter tires and the all-season, the summer tires, and the materials that are going in. And when you're making sure that quality is not compromised, even as you go sustainable, correct? So when you're going to the point of the emissions and you're making decisions on whether to go kind of the way you've been going or take a new route based on your findings, have you found that there is much of a challenge to prioritize sustainability and quality in the same vein, or is it typically there's a solution that you found? How challenging is that really? I'm trying to understand.
Well, it's a bit of challenge to be honest with you. I mean, when working with new materials, usually the production process of such materials perhaps might not be well standardized, or it's not been working for so long. Then the quality or even quality of the material that you get out of it might be a bit varying in the beginning, and that means that we need to be careful and we need to be cautious of when working with new materials, and make sure that we test them to the full extent and make sure that there are the quality aspects included as well, and we can get good quality material for our products and make sure that they are the best possible for our customers then.
I am not surprised that a Finnish company, from everything I know about, just kind of the culture in that part of the world, is that it is considerate about quality and sustainability. And do you think that what Nokian Tyres is doing here and the partnership with Polestar is going to be, are you looking to be an example of raising the status quo of how we can manufacture these kinds of tools that we use in our everyday lives in order to be adopted across the globe, or do you think that it will take a bit longer to catch on in the industry, that you can have sustainability and quality go hand in hand?
Yeah, I would say that, of course, these solutions that we are developing inside this project, we will use them for a wider range of products, and most likely when we are cooperating with tens of different raw material suppliers and other specialist companies, and they are developing, and they will get also a push from this project to develop their materials to new direction. I will believe that it's helping the whole industry and also, of course, other companies. So that has a wider effect in that way.
That's what I would hope.
But of course, we want to be the forerunner here, and
I think the competitive, or the, like you said, the forerunner angle is super interesting, right? Because obviously this is a challenge that the whole industry is addressing, and yet it seems like brands are going at it in different ways. Like within the car world, I would say Polestar is one of those leaders in having a lot of transparency about their manufacturing and about the carbon impact of their vehicles. I'm sure it's a challenging business question here, but to elaborate, is there a hope that the work that you do towards, developing new compounds, developing higher or lower, I should say, rolling resistance and higher efficiency with the same quality and performance benchmarks, is that something that you're hoping to see just spread to the rest of the industry, your peers in the tire world, as well as, of course, lots of vehicle manufacturers? How quickly do you think it's conceivable to imagine this 2030 target being something that's not just Nokian, but maybe universal across a lot of the industry?
I truly feel that the tide is coming in this sense, that it's not a question about will you do it, but you must do it to stay afloat, so to speak. So this kind of focusing on sustainability and environment, it's something that it's not a choice, it's a must. And the ones who are in the forefront, they can really also benefit from it. And that's our approach on the topic.
I see. And I think about the collaboration that's going on behind the scenes too. Of course, we have Teppo, quality and sustainability, and Teemu, innovations and development. And of course, those go hand in hand. Is the collaboration of your departments, your teams, whatever it might be, how do you two work together? I'm sure there's plenty of research and development, but do you find that one of you is holding, all right, these are the priorities we're meeting here, and these are the priorities we're meeting here, and then our teams come together to achieve the same goal? How is the collaboration internally for this kind of project?
I would say, from my point of view, it's very good, and we are like 100% aligned here. So there's no competing interests.
Exactly, and also to elaborate that further, it's not only about our teams. It requires all the other teams in the company, such as procurement and so on, to be all going towards the same goal here. And of course, that's something that we've been quite good in the past, and we are looking forward with it, and it's looking good.
Yeah, I think that there's a tremendous amount of potential here to display a lot of firsts in this industry, and this kind of approach that it doesn't have to be carbon offsets. You can actually really achieve some amazing goals if you go to the source of what you're doing, especially to create lasting impact, that you can collaborate with other organizations. Of course, we see that across this industry, that collaboration is key, sharing information is key, sharing goals is key, but of course that internal alignment as well is so essential to, just being able to prove that you can achieve these kinds of what people like to call lofty goals, because it's not the way that our society has been running. We're definitely taking a pivot to see, okay, we've been doing things along a certain way for a long time. Can we improve it? Oh, yes, we can. So let's just see exactly how we can enact that in our own company. So I'm really glad that we get to, work and highlight Nokian Tyres work, and of course, look forward to that Romania trip. Is there any other future plans that we haven't covered that Nokian Tyres is really looking forward to in the year of 2024 and beyond that you can speak to?
Yeah, of course, we recommend if we continue about this environmental topic. So we have made this plan to be like net zero company in the latest 2050, most likely 2045 already. That's our aim, and there's some roadmap. It's not only like a promise, but we have a master plan how to do it, and that's not a secret. But I think in Teemu's areas there are more secret plans.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I can't disclose all of the really cool things that we are working on. But one big target that we have is that by 2030, all the materials that we get into the company are either renewable or recycled. So that means that we are trying to find ways to not use that much of fossil-based raw materials and really making sure that our impact to the environment is as small as possible.
It's definitely a big challenge, especially the fact that you have to source from other partners or locations that you might have to, change relationships or find better sources, or maybe help them change how they go about their operations. So I can only imagine all the different conversations you're having. I would love to hear about those secrets as well, but I guess I might have to wait until they're public. But I would love to continue to speak with you all about your work at Nokian and really follow along, because again, like I've said, I think there's great potential here to set the stage for what is possible in this industry, because I think there's a lot of naysayers, and it is hard. It's not easy work, but there's ways to be innovative and creative in the ways that we are building all the way from the ground, the tires, to the sunroofs of the cars. So thank you. I really appreciate your time, Teppo and Teemu, and of course, Max, for coming on. Max, do you have any last questions for the team?
No, I just wanted to, give you a shout out, Francie, for all the great work you're doing, but also both to you, Teppo and Teemu, and the whole, teams at Nokian for this kind of initiative. I think this, as a nerd, but also like a performance and car person, just fascinates me. These kinds of halo projects, like I'm thinking elsewhere in the industry, like the Mercedes EQXX or other focuses on like, let's take this new benchmark of like efficiency or sustainability and try to optimize for that. So I'm just super eager to see how these secrets, I guess, play out from working on a halo project and what's kind of the showpiece into things that will affect the consumer and hopefully make a big impact on the environment, because it's really not trivial when we consider tires as a whole with how they impact cars, be they ICE or electric. So I'm so glad that there are much brighter minds than me working on this issue. And so I just wanted to give my appreciation to your teams on that issue, for working on that.
Thanks, Max. Much appreciated, and thanks for both of you. This has been a pleasure.
This is definitely.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And audience, if you have any questions, make sure to reach out to us in the comments, and we will try to get answers from the Nokian Tyres team. I think this is a really interesting conversation that will continue in this space, and we'll just see how the success unfolds, which I'm sure we will see, and how it will potentially be adopted across different industries, not just one, but also across borders. So thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. Thank you also. I know that y'all mentioned you might be tuning into Out of Spec sometimes, which we love. So definitely let us know, what you like that we're covering, and we'll make sure to give you a shout out here and there. So thank you everyone for tuning into the Out of Spec podcast. We will see you next time on the next episode. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.